And then I'm going to go through a fourth one, just all on a diagonal. Okay, so I'm just going to pull that through. See my thread coming out this white bead here? I'm going to go to the next bead over. See that one blue one? And then I'm going to go over to the next. Just like I did on the white, I'm going to go up and follow this blue. And you should come up through that second blue bead there. So just to pull your thread, you will need one blue bead. So under that thread, just pull back up through the bottom of the bead, and there you are. You need 8 blue beads, so do that and I'll meet you back here. So now you should have something that looks like this. Half of your mitten is completed. So now to make the other half, what we're going to do is we're going to travel back through your work any way you want. I recommend going and following the beads on the diagonal. You want to work your thread through and come out this first white bead. So what I'll do, follow the diagonal. So I'm just going to go to the bead beside it. Just go all the way through. Now it might get a little snug, but that's okay. So now that we're coming out this side, you can either go back and forth and just zigzag through your work till you get here. Seeing as how we're right here, if you want, you can go out and then in and just kind of zigzag through this one single layer of beads. But it's up to you. I'll let you decide and then I'll meet you back. Now that we've worked our thread and needle all the way across, you should be coming out this bottom white bead. Flip your work so that your thread is in the right direction so that you're ready to start the next row. So there's our tail. I'm just going to move that out of the way. Basically what we're going to do now is we're going to repeat all these rows that we just did. We're going to mirror them on this side. So what we need to start this row is 2 white beads. Just going to go between the 2 beads under the thread, the bottom of that bead, and then sew it on. You can take this tail and you can take your needle and you could sew it back into the body of your mitten to hide it, or you can just do what I'm about to do. I'm just going to take this and lay it across the top of my mitten. I'm going to take my next white bead that I need and I'm going to go between the 2 beads that I need and under that thread, just like that, tail on top, and pretend that it's part of that thread. And then when I pull my thread and then go up through that bottom of the bead, make sure your tail doesn't get caught. But see how my tail is sitting there? The new stitch is going to grab it. And now it's hooked up into that bead. So just keep grabbing the tail and working it into your work. To finish this row, you need 2 blue, 1 white, 2 blue, 2 white, 2 blue, 1 white, 2 blue, and then I'll meet you back. So now you should have something that looks like this. Now I've worked my tail in all the way across, and all I have left is this tiny little bit. So you can just go ahead and cut that little bit off. Now to finish this row, you need 1 more blue bead. And we're going to increase on the end. So like we did before, we're just going to add it on to this last blue bead. So just go between the thread and then up through the bottom. So just turn your work and get ready for the next row. Okay, so for the next row you need 1 blue bead. You're going to do blue beads, 1 white bead, 1 blue bead, 1 white bead, 5 blue beads, 2 white beads. So now you should have something that looks like this. Now we're going to turn our work and get ready for the next row, and we need to increase. So here are my 2 white beads. So just like we've been doing, I'm going to go between the beads under the thread and then go back up through the 1 bead in the bottom. Next we need another 1 white bead. There you are. Now for the rest of the row you will need 3 blue, 2 white, 2 blue, 2 white, 3 blue. So now you should have something that looks like this, and I want to add 1 more blue bead and increase on the end. So I'm just going to add it like we've been doing to that previous bead. So I'm just going to go under between the thread, just pull it, and then go back up through my new bead. I'm going to turn and get ready to start the next row. The next row is just a regular row, so I just need 1 blue bead, go back up through the bottom, there. And then just like we've been doing, I need you to add 3 more blue beads, 2 white, 1 blue, 2 white, 4 blue, and then 2 white beads. So now you should have something that looks like this. And now we're just going to turn it and start the next row. Okay, so for this one we're going to have to increase, and we're going to add 2 white beads, just like we've been doing. Just go back up through the bottom of that last one there. And then just grab 1 more white bead and add that. Now to finish this row you need 3 blue, 1 white, 4 blue, 1 white, 3 blue, and then I'll meet you back. So now you should have something that looks like this. For the last partial row right here, we want our thread to be coming out of this one. We're going to go down it, and just to the right or the left we're going to go down 1 more row. There we go. So if you can see, we're going on an angle. Okay. I'm just going to go back 1 bead, and on an angle I'm going to come back up through the right bead, which is that second one, and now I'm where I want to be. So just turn your work. You need 9 blue beads, 2 white beads. So just add those on and then I'll meet you back. So now you should have something like this. Now what we're going to do is we're going to flip it and get ready to start the next row. Now we need to increase, so we need 2 white beads. And just like we've been increasing before, we're just going to add those on. Now you need 1 more white bead. I'm just going to turn my work around. So I have 1 white bead, and I'm just going to add that. And I'm just going to do a little short row of white beads. Okay? So that's the end of our cuff. Yes, I'm just going to flip it again just to make this easier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 4 white beads. Coming out this 1 white bead, what we want to do is make a circle. So I'm going to actually come back through this bead right here, and then I'm going to come out where my thread is already coming out. Okay, and then I'm going to pull, and you can see that those 4 beads make a circle. Sew through that circle a couple times. It'll strengthen your thread. So what I'm going to do is, see how I'm coming out of this 1 white bead? I'm going to go to the next one, And then I'm actually going to go to the side and go through this one. What we want to do is we want to come back out that first white bead right here. So now that we're coming back out of this white bead, we can continue with this row. You're going to add 5 blue beads, and then I'll meet you back here. Now you should have something that looks like this. This time we're going to increase by 2 beads. I need 2 blue beads through that thread, just like we've been doing all the other stitches. And I'm going to go up through the bottom bead, just like we've been doing all the previous rows. So there's my increase, but I actually want to increase it by 1 more. I'm going to go down this one. Now I'm going to pick up 1 blue bead. Oh, my thread is coming out the bottom. I'm going to go down that bead. I'm actually going to go back up the bead, and then I'm going to go down it again, the next one there. So I've sewn through it twice. So to get back to this bead that we need to be at, and up the first one here on the left, right up that one. Make sure everything's nice and snug and sitting where it's supposed to be sitting. So now I'm going to flip my work. I'm going to grab my next blue bead and just continue working like we've been doing. Just go back up through the bottom, add 2 more blue beads, and I'll meet you back. So now you should have something that looks like this. Flip our work and get ready for that next row. We want to skip this stitch, so we're actually going to go and we're going to go down a row and come out those 2 blue beads. Okay, pull your work, grab the next bead over, but then travel back bead that you first went down and come out. Now for this row you need 4 blue beads, and then I'll meet you back. So now you should have something that looks like this. So I've got my last blue bead I'm going to add on as an increase, and just like we've been doing before, we're just going to add it to the same spot as the previous bead on the end, and just up through the bottom. Now turn it around. So for this next row we're going to increase, so you'll need 2 blue beads. That first stitch, go through it and then back up, and then just pull it nice and snug. So now all you need to do is 2 more blue beads. We're going to go to the next bead and we're going to go down another bead, and then we're going to go over one and then back up through your bead. I'm just going to flip this around. We're going to add 2 blue beads. So there's 1 and there's 2. I've turned my work, but you don't have to. So make sure everything is nice and snug and where you want it. So I'm going to actually go through just like we were to add a new bead, but instead of adding a new bead, I'm going to go through the loop and just make a slip knot and just add a couple of those to secure it. I'm just going to go back through my work, just following the diagonal. If it's too tight, that's okay, just do it a few beads at a time. Okay, so now I'm coming out of that bead, so now I'm just gonna go this way. It doesn't matter which way you're going, just work it into your project here. And then again, one last time. There we go. And then just cut your thread